Right, so this is how I'll take an existing guitar tone to use for my own productions. So first you need the original guitar tone, which in my case is from Morte et Darbo by Arsene Alexandria. And it sounds like this. So it's really like high-end metallic-y kind of sounding. So you can get these mixing stems from remix packs, and they'll have the mixed stems. I think this is from the Rock Band game, where they've just taken the stems from it. So then you want to record a similar sounding riff, or preferably the same riff. I've basically recorded it without a cab. So it sounds like that. And then I've put a cab that sounds close to what I want it to sound like. Close to this. So that's the original. That's mine. And clearly it sounds quite different, but it has similar characteristics. So next we're going to take a plugin called Curve EQ. You can use the free version of it. And you want to just put it on the original tone. And then you want to loop around the segment of the original tone. And you want to go on static and match up here and then click on average. And this will basically take the average of the performance average EQ curve. And then once you've got the average, you're going to click take, and then that will freeze that EQ curve in place. And I'm just going to call this AA. So now you want to take the same instance of the plugin and put it on your tone after the cab sim. And you want to go into it and then click on average, click off. And that will just refresh anything going on here, so you don't have any remaining tone from the last bit. And then you click average again. And then you're going to just loop through that again. So I'm going to move my loop region. And then you're just going to loop through that a couple times until you get a nice average display. Now press take. And then I'm just going to name this my tone. And now the way this works is, so you select the number of points. This will be like how precise do you want your EQ matching to be. So I find 30 works pretty well, 20 works pretty well. Somewhere between 20 and 30 is usually best. If you go higher than that, so you go up to like 60, it does sound more close, but sometimes you get resonances. And I'll show that in a sec. So I'll just start on 30, and I'll click on the original tone, we'll click reference. So that means we're taking a reference from that tone, and then we'll apply it to our existing tone, or to our new tone. And then click match spectrums, and you'll see on this graph we have what it thinks is the EQ match. Now if you see on 30, it's pretty smooth, and we'll play both tones back to back now. So we'll play the original one, and the new one. Oh, we need to level match that. So you see it says at minus 1.9, we'll just give it 1.9. That sounds pretty good to me. Now if I turn the points up and then do another match spectrums, you'll see the points get more granular, but sometimes you get, like over here, you get like a big resonance. And sometimes you can hear it, sometimes you can't. Let's just listen to it. To be honest, that sounds pretty good. But if you go down to like 10, it won't have the clarity that you get from the higher results. So if I click on 10, look, it's somewhat there, but not quite. We'll listen to it though. I think to my ears 25 sounds the best. We'll go back to our original tone, make sure it sounds somewhat similar. Now my original amp tone is clearly quite different to the Arsene Alexandria one, so it's not. That's why it doesn't quite sound the same. But in terms of the EQ curve, it's quite similar now. If I throw an EQ there, let me look at the Arsene Alexandria one. There's a bunch of sub frequencies in there that we don't want, so that's fine that it's not got them, or it has got them actually. So we can filter that out. So I don't know, 50, maybe 60. And then on the high end, it might be a bit sizzly. Let's listen to it. About there sounds good to me. And from there, we don't really need to play with it. If you want that to be your tone, that's fine. But from my experience, it sounds better if you blend it a bit with the original tone. So what I'll do is I'll group that and then create a chain. This is an Ableton thing. If you wanted to do this in other DAWs, you could just make 2 audio tracks and then route them to the same like bus track, and then -6 on both of them to level match them. So having -6 on both means that they're going to be 50-50 kind of mixed. So let's listen to that. So we can turn up more of the original tone, or we can turn up more of the blended tone. I think this blend sounds pretty good to me. Let's listen to it again. That spot there sounds about right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make that into an impulse response. So we can use this EQ matched impulse response as a cabinet response. So I'm going to use a pure impulse response. I got this from Andrew Wade. He made a similar video about EQ, turning an EQ into an impulse response. I'll leave a link to all that in the description. So we take this pure impulse and we'll send this to a output track. So I'll do something like this. And we'll record this. We'll just go a little bit before and record that. Make sure there's no fade on it, because it's literally one big peak at the beginning and then the rest kind of fades out. So you make sure there's absolutely no fade on that, because DAWs might automatically do something like that. And then you just want to record a little bit from before and record the output from this track. So let's do that. There we go. We've got the impulse response. So let me just boost this a bit so we can see it a bit more clearly. And there we go. So there's a bit of pre-stuff. We don't really need that. I find the easiest way to edit these is through Audacity. So let's do that now. Right, so we've gone and put the impulse response into Audacity with the pre-stuff. So you see there's all this silence in front. We want to basically get rid of all that, because none of that is actually conducive to the tone. So basically from about here, we'll just take all that back and delete. And the reason I like using Audacity for this is because it snaps to the samples, so you shouldn't get any clicking or anything like that when you combine it. And then what we're going to do is go to click on this and then go to Effect, where is it, Normalize, and then normalize peak amplitude to 0 decibels. And then as you can see, the peak is at 0. And this means that we're going to have similar levels to most of your other impulse responses. And then we can just export this, and then you've got it. Right, so now I'm back in my DAW, and I've got the impulse response we just created, and we're going to compare that to what we were making here with all these plugins on it, and then we're going to compare that to the original tone. I imagine it won't be as close to the original tone as we could have got. Usually, if you take more time to select an original impulse response, that's quite close to the existing tone, you get better results. I didn't really take much time on this one. But let's listen to this. So this is the final impulse response that we got. So that sounds pretty good. And then this is the one with all the plugins on it. You can tell it's basically the same thing. And then the original Arsene Alexandria one. So yeah, the EQ curves of them are pretty similar. As I say, the actual guitar tone itself, like the amp tone, is a little bit different. But if you get your amp tone and your cabinet response as close as possible to this original tone, you'll get the best results. Hope this helps.